welcome to the Geekwave. I am here with X, I am here with Al, and I am here with Logan.
Hello!
And we are here. Great
back.
job, guys. Great job. You're back and you're full of energy.
I'm here. I'm ready to
But
go.
we're here to talk about your game that's coming out. You guys work for the studio Octothorpe. Some of you may be watching, may know Octothorpe from Alex, who probably talked about it during one of his EAE classes. I know he talked about it during mine.
Good stuff.
I did.
Yeah.
No shame here. I totally plugged.
You know, why not? Yeah.
But we are here more or less to talk about a little bit about your studio, but more about your game that's set in the Sherlock Holmes universe, but is not a Sherlock Holmes game. Yes?
Correct.
Correct.
All
You
right.
got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are Octothorpe. We are a game studio based out of Sugar House. right?
Just you two. That's it.
No,
That's-
just
this is Octothorpe right here,
No,
guys.
we also get to work with the fantabulous Matt Anderson.
Oh, wow.
Who is
All
just
the way to
a-
fantabulous.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, what a champ!
like
What a-
he's
what a
already
guy.
past spectacular.
Oh
He's
gosh, the guy's
fantabulous.
on a new level. You sit in any of his classes and those jokes just. It's a.
He was
it's
my
a-
very first college class, actually.
It is.
Funny
It's a
enough.
unique experience. If you have an opportunity to take his intro to video games, you gotta do it. You just gotta do
You
it.
gotta.
It's
It's an
nothing
experience.
like-
You
it is an
gotta do it.
experience.
Yeah.
Experience unlike
Especially
any
when he
other.
takes you over to the Nickelcade.
That's true. That's true. And then we also
I
get to
need
work
to,
with.
I need to know what happened in that class.
Yeah.
It's a fun class. And then we also work with Jaden Holiday, who is right now a student in the University of Utah's EAE program. And we all make games together. And
Doesn't
have
Lanny
a
also
blast.
work with you?
Lainey is actually, she just accepted a job at Ubisoft Montreal.
Yeah,
she's
she's-
been working with us for the last. Yeah,
Wow.
so she's gonna go do user testing up there.
On like Assassin's Creed and stuff
Ah,
like that.
Yeah.
so she gets to go jump in corners for a living now.
She's like, no more straw bales, guys. You know, we're gonna change it. People have been not liking the straw.
We
Straw
need
bales.
something new.
Yeah, and we have a variety of projects in the works, but right now we are working on our game called The Irregular. It is basically a mystery escape room style experience set in VR, and that's where right now we're really focused on the VR, but we are looking to explore mobile VR and also looking at doing a PC build and some other options. This gives a project that, Al, you started a while ago, correct?
Yeah. Well, if you happen to have taken my machinima class, you may have seen the intro movie that I made a couple years ago now. Has this Sherlock Holmes environment. And I've always wanted to do a Sherlock Holmes game ever since I learned the stories were out of copyright. So that's what kind of spurred this project on was the court's ruling that Sherlock Holmes was now public domain, and also just an opportunity to do something fun. And originally it was going to be an animated short film, trying to recreate some of the original stories as true to kind of the original source material as possible. And around last summer, we realized that it would work really well as a VR game. VR right now is pretty much sort of like shooters
It's also the next thing. Let's be honest.
yeah, and like roller coaster games and stuff like. So it's not a lot that you see a very slow pace mystery,
Yeah.
you know,
Puzzle
puzzle
solving.
game. Yeah, it's a puzzle game. So, so we wanted to do that, and we spent a good few months developing, you know, the design of the game to kind of have some fun critical thinking and problem solving type aspects. We wanted to make it the tagline for it is kind of the Dark Souls of puzzle games, of mystery
It's
mystery
hard.
The
games.
Dark Souls of puzzle
Yeah,
games.
so
You will have to explain to me how you came to the conclusion.
Are we like it's just tough, or are we like it's unforgiving, or are we like
it's
what part of Dark Souls we talking here?
all of the above. I mean, so Dark Souls is known for being a very challenging game.
Get
and
good.
Yeah, a game that
It
doesn't
birthed a meme.
doesn't really pull any punches, and unless you are performing at your best, using all your brain power and tactile control, you're not going to get through it. And we kind of approached it from the same philosophy. You know, a lot of Sherlock Holmes games have been basically kind of point and click games where you're saying, hey, Sherlock, go over here and solve this problem, right?
Yeah.
And we wanted to make something that was intellectually challenging.
Yeah.
So, you know, that worked a little bit. We did some user testing and found that maybe our conception of what's hard is maybe a little bit beyond what people enjoy. So we have turned it down. We have tuned the difficulty down.
Don't you always? I mean, let's be honest. Like anytime you're making a game, you always got to do it.
Well, and we have, we have different gradations of difficulty, right? Like there are hints, there are things that can help you in game. But if for a hardcore player, they can literally do all the deductions. Like when we talk, like you know how Sherlock in his shows, right? He's doing deductions. That's what you're doing. You have the whole kind of mind palace thought space experience, and you are moving your clues around and trying to allocate them to get the right combination. So there's a high level of you have to learn the environment, you have to know what's going on, you have to actually go through the process of solving the mystery.
Games have kind of made us a little bit comfortable in how we look at environments and assess environments and things like that, and pay
there's
attention.
An enemy on that cliff.
Well, not only that, I mean, you get the waypoint marker and you get the path to follow. Like we're now accustomed to seeing
basically the yellow brick road.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's sort of a tutorial for the whole game, and it never really goes away unless you go into those settings and turn off.
Yeah, it's not challenging to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And,
Right. So
Like if you're playing For Honor and you turn off the HUD.
right, but when
and
you
all
do
of a sudden it's
when you do something like that in a game, you have to pay attention to some visual cues, how your character, what animation state they're in, and whether you've been hit before, and mentally keeping track of how many hits you've taken. And so you're really, it's, that sort of challenge is really at the core of kind of a lot of fun old school games, but has kind of been bred out of the new style of gaming. And that's where indie game development can kind of fill in a little bit. And we're definitely an indie studio making an indie game. We know this isn't going to be, every Sherlock fan's going to love this game. It's just, we're not going for that
It's not
market.
what it's meant for.
So we have tuned down the difficulty. We are still going for something that's pretty challenging, puzzle solving experience.
Yeah.
And I heard you actually had a little bit of like gameplay footage or like some kind of reels to show us. Or
Yeah. So we are at a point now where we have finished an early prototype. This is content that we've just developed internally for testing purposes. So we don't plan on ever releasing this mystery. It's a mystery that's very sort of text heavy. We did a lot of paper prototyping with this mystery, just to check our own rhetoric and see if we can actually build a mystery that we think we can build. And it's, like I said, it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun.
It's like you got yourself your good minimum viable product now. So
Exactly. So last week we shipped that off to Oculus, who we're in touch with, and kind of crossing our fingers that everything works properly and it doesn't break.
So this is a Rift and Touch game then.
We're developing it, as an Oculus Rift game with touch controllers.
Yeah, but not exclusively to them on a standpoint.
Well, of course, but
ideally we'd love to get this on mobile too and make this very accessible for people. It's just right now we're just the quality that we're working with, and it requires power. So
of course.
Yeah. And we also, we were also really lucky because we got into we became a top 5 finalist in the Department of Education's EdSim Challenge back in, early May?
Yeah, we found out in May.
Yeah. And so that's been really cool, and we've been working all summer on this prototype and also working on the version we're building for the Department of Education is a CTE experience.
Career Technical Education.
Career Technical Educations. And that's really big in Utah, actually. And so we've been working with some teachers in Utah and up the Park City School District to kind of develop a experience that is something that they would be interested in.
Yeah.
And then we go out on September 18th to do a presentation for the Department of Education on this game and kind of see where things go.
We're one of 5 finalists competing for a single grand prize. So winner takes all.
Right.
And so our prototype, is an example of, a lot of the core features, but also some of this education component. So what we're pitching it as is a tool that teachers can use to kind of get kids motivated and interested in a broad range of CTE topics and kind of practice some core competencies from CTE, like measuring things and data literacy and things like that, but all very kind of embedded in the Sherlock world. So instead of kind of working on a word problem like you would in math class,
You're working an actual puzzle.
you
an
might
actual
you
mystery.
might be dropped into an environment and have 20 minutes to figure out what drink has been poisoned before a bunch of ambassadors come in, and you've got to use some deductive problem solving. You've got to maybe track some fingerprints and measure some volumes of liquids and things like that. So it's tying in some sort of education and CTE skills, but it still feels a lot like a AAA mystery game.
Because
How many times are you expected to fail? I'm just curious.
Well, that's one thing that's a little bit different. I mean, our current mystery, you don't really fail at it. The process of trying something and failing is sort of tied into the process of kind of puzzle solving. So failure, it's not like failure in a traditional game. You don't go back to the beginning if you get it wrong, right?
It's not you die, you suck, do this again.
Yeah, so in that way, it's not like Dark Souls. It's not like a traditional game where you have an opportunity to see what you did wrong and then correct your mistakes. But you can't progress until you get it right. So
the thing that we saw in user testing was more as like people. So in Dark Souls, people get frustrated because it's like, doggone it, I keep dying. You know what I mean? I just can't beat this simple 30-second experience. For our game, it's much more of a long-term involvement, right? So it's the fact is like, okay, you're sitting down to answer these 9 questions. That's taking people on average like about 2 hours is what we're seeing to get through all 9 questions, 2 to 3 hours, right? And so that's just more of the frustration. It's like people sit there, and it's really interesting to watch them too because they're so close, right? Like it kills us when we watch them because
you
so
know what?
close. They're just one away.
You just want to like tap them on the shoulder and go like, do your left.
Yeah, no, and literally like they'll pick up the piece of paper that has the clue they need, and they'll even look at it with the magnifying glass, and they'll just like throw the piece of paper, and we're like, oh,
You're so
right.
you were right there.
Yeah, and
you were
that's the
right.
thing though is that it's the frustration. It's a different type of frustration. And I think it's something that's actually a little bit more acceptable for people because this isn't something that you're just like, this isn't like reflex management, right? You know what I mean? Dark Souls is like, okay, this combination is going to work, right? This is something that's like, okay, like I actually have to think about this.
You get frustrated more at yourself than at the game.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's a unique experience, right? That's something that makes the Irregular special.
Yeah, that sounds like
cool about it too is that as you're uncovering more information, your mental picture of this whole mystery grows and expands. And like sometimes when in the early, when we were working out the kind of storyline and the questions and things like that, I remember having the moment where 2 or 3 things are simultaneously true. And you're trying to figure out, okay, I need to find evidence that refutes or supports one of my ideas. And so it is in a way more frustrating than Dark Souls because you don't have that roadmap of like, okay, I did this wrong, I know what I need to do to fix. It's like this weird conceptual puzzle of like, this is impossible, but I don't know what could be, but I need to find information, and it's interesting. It's a weird mental.
Do you have any like red herrings or like dead end problems in here to just like screw
We
with
do.
people?
I mean that's part of the kind of information management side of it, that you're given too much data. Some of the data you're given is relevant to the question at hand. Other stuff will be relevant in the future, and you have to kind of pick out and choose what you're going to pay attention to. And there are some things in there that are thrown in there to give you a false lead, because what we kind of wanted to try for was this experience of, having that twist. You think it's this one thing, and then suddenly something clicks and you have this realization that, oh no, everything.
Oh no, I've been doing this wrong.
But it's a really pleasurable experience when you make that connection, because everything was there. It just, your thinking changed and you realized, oh, it's totally different, and this guy is actually responsible. And so those sort of aha moments are few and far between in the experience. Maybe there's 3 or 4 of them throughout the whole sequence. But that's what we're really striving for as designers. Like, okay, those are the most memorable moments.
It's
of
the
this
ones
game.
that, like, once you get done with the game, you'll go home to your friends, family, whatever, and say, like, dude,
Oh, yeah.
You gotta hear what happened to me today.
Well, it's cool. You know, I mean, that makes it very special for that person. And one thing that I've absolutely loved seeing in the user testing, and just seeing as like we have friends and family play it, is I love hearing the theories that people have, right? Because they get so like some of them are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and we left some questions open. There are solutions to.
Well, I mean, hey, you use them. You take the theories that people are making, and you're like, okay, I like that one. We're gonna tuck those aside, use those later.
And you know, there's a mysterious death that takes place, you know, as you're uncovering these facts, and it's never clear who's responsible for it. It's not critically relevant to solving the mystery, but it just opens that door to like, oh, maybe there's something bigger going on. Maybe this person was.
So in other words, you're writing DLC for yourself.
we do have some cliffhangers in there and some secrets.
You're getting into the design.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, we designed this as kind of an episodic thing where you might sit down and do. We haven't pinned down the exact time frame, but maybe 45 minutes to an hour and a half of mystery solving for a contained section, episodic section. But that might be a smaller piece of a larger, broader kind of puzzle that you're trying to piece together, or maybe not related, or maybe there's a character in one mystery that pops up in another, or something like that. So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
It is. Well, one thing that we've also talked about. This is not not in the game at all right now. We don't know if it even will be, but we really want to hit that. So this is inspired by the idea of escape room experiences, right? And we really would love to get that social aspect out of the escape room experience, right? Because that's what's so funny is, right, when you're doing an escape room with your friends, it's like you're yelling at each other, you're frantic, I mean, you gotta have like plans, otherwise you're just gonna completely fail. And this game has a great, because it is the Irregulars, and anybody who knows Sherlock knows that the Irregulars are his homeless network, basically, right?
Yeah, it's a network of street kids who kind of collect data and help them solve problems.
Yeah. And so the idea is like, okay, what if so now we have these mysteries, but like, let's take this now with 4 people, right? Or 2 people, make this co-op collaboration experience and like see how we can create some really unique experiences for multiple people instead of like, okay, now everybody's not in the same room. What if we have people split up in multiple rooms? I mean, that's the beauty is that escape rooms, they're very restricted by actual space, by actual like what is viable. Doing that in VR, the sky's the limit.
What were we talking about?
Breaking the window.
Breaking the window.
Everyone's gonna break the window.
Glass.
Yeah, everyone just wants to go through and break it.
Dude, everybody
breaks
wants
windows.
to.
Well, it's just like, it's pretty satisfying. You pick up an inkwell and just toss it through the window.
Oh, dude, and
Just
the
chuck it.
lock is the best because it's like dense. You can just feel like it just looks dense, just like solid metal. And
Toss
it's
it
like, oh
through the
man,
window.
I could throw this through the wall.
Let's,
Who cares?
let's
about
do
the
it. Let's do it.
window?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Can you break chairs?
Also, the favorite
No.
thing is that like. One of the funniest things is like there's a knife in it, and people always like pick up the knife and just like stab stuff. They just like people just pick it up and they'll just like look at it for a second, look at the desk, look
I
at the
think
knife.
you should probably remove that for the educational
just
one.
The educational
Just
version,
maybe.
the educational version is going to be no smoking,
No wine,
no alcohol, not a lot of blood splatters everywhere.
Not a lot.
I mean, where's the fun in that? I don't know.
I mean, if we want to make it close to Dark Souls, there's got to be something gritty in there that's mentally disturbing to someone.
We just have like a weird beast just
yeah, have Bloodborne just like
you have a knock on the door and you have to go over and open the door. It's just like a guy just tries to kill
Here's Johnny.
Oh man,
scary.
Yeah, it's fun though. We think, we hope. I hope it's fun.
So just to like wrap up here, I want to get a little bit more on a personal side of like, what was your favorite experience that you guys have had in the development process of this game?
We had one weekend where we had a playtest deadline, and it was over 4th of July actually, and we spent 12 to 14 hours in the office for about 5 days, and seeing the whole game come together.
Wait, we asked for your favorite part.
I know.
Your late nights.
But I mean, that was definitely the hardest, but seeing everything, because a lot of pieces came together then, like the voice actor we recorded him and put those lines in, and got, the environment lighting got tuned up then, and it just all kind of came together, in the 11th hour for this play test, and that was a cool moment just to see okay, this feels like a real game now. Like, there's always a moment when you're making games where it feels like a big mess. And then you do something, or you do a couple things, and it comes together, and you're like, okay,
it works.
This is actually real.
I've
Look, we made a game, not just a.
I experienced that
time.
firsthand in your class. Actually, game to the point to where we finally got all 4 players to work simultaneously.
Wasn't that like the last day of the semester?
Yeah,
I think
it was the summer semester. It had to go fast.
Gotta go fast.
But yeah, the last part we got it working and stuff. We were just like tears of joy and stuff. We were just like, we might actually get an A out of this game.
I don't think I gave you an A.
Oh God.
Sorry.
No, I think one of the funniest things actually over that weekend, was that the weekend that you made me connect all the meshes?
I think you put in all the clue data.
That was all, oh gosh. Okay, so I
was
sat down, and it probably took, I did it in like a day and a half, basically, because I did it in chunks. There was like a 5-hour chunk and like a 6-hour chunk. And I put in like all of our, so like all the code logic was set up, right? But we had all the data for like what were the right clues, right? And it was just all matching.
And like responses. So like if I took a snapshot of this cup, it would say this is a cup of glass of tea that was purchased this time. So we'd written all of that and all the logic that kind of went into the core mystery design, but plugging that into the game engine. Oh man, that was just
I just sat down and did it. I just put on some really good dubstep music and just sent it.
Hey, it sounds like we work like the same way. Let's be honest.
I went on YouTube and I'm like, okay, I need a 5-hour dubstep. Mr. Suicide Sheep.
Yes,
that guy. Oh, you need good work music.
You need to get something done.
Listen to him. He has a 3-hour gaming mix that is priceless.
Well, I think with that we can successfully wrap this up. Hopefully we will maybe hear some more from you guys like in September when you end up getting the message back from like your
competition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for the exact words that you used and I was like, it's not there. Where is it?
Yeah.
Cross all your fingers for
cross
us.
Your toes.
Fingers,
cross your
toes.
We need more than fingers. We need, if you can cross your eyes too, cross your eyes. And if you can cross your nose, well, you should call me and let me know. But
we gotta see that. Research purposes only, but we gotta see that.
Yeah. No. Thank you so much for having us on and letting us talk about our game. We really appreciate it.
All right. Well,
we love the Geekwave.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching the Geekwave. This is your resident otaku Lee, and if you want to watch more of our videos, just go right over here. Or you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, possibly also over here. But with that, thanks for listening to the Geekwave, guys. Geek out.